Sky Squad, they got me working day and night, baby. Listen, we got to talk about Peter Thomas and what's going on with him and these taxes and this IRS. Okay. Shout out to my source for putting me onto this because I was like, what? We're going to discuss it. We're going to get all into it, his statement, and I'm going to let you decipher it for yourself because I'm having a little hard time with it. But I have a guess as to why it's happening. And we're going to get into that in 1 second. Before we do that, make sure you guys tap into the membership community because we are talking to Phil Thornton, okay? Just dropped in the membership community. And we're talking R&B divas, his work with Mariah Carey. You know, he had some. This is good. This is really, really, really good. And if you don't know who Phil Thornton is, he's one of the producers behind the hit reality franchise R&B Divas, and we get into a lot of discussion about his career and why we never got another season. So tune in to that. Now, let's get into Peter Thomas. Okay, so he took to his Instagram and he had quite a few interesting things to say about his legal battle. Well, is it a legal battle? I guess his drama with the IRS.
Including Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc., etc. All right, I'm here to make a statement. My attorney and I have been working on a case for the last 2.5 years now, and it came in on where I'm putting out this statement. I must have to apologize to my mom, my dad that's passed, and my kids, my friends, immediate family members, and anybody out there that checked for me. I did some wrong that I have to make right. I have to stand up. I have to be accountable. I have to be responsible, and I have to pay my debt. For 2.5 years ago, the IRS started a case that went back 10 years and showed that from struggling business, from one struggling business to the next and the next, that I'd failed to pay my withholding taxes on time. And at some point when the business wasn't doing well, failed to pay at all.
So I'm just going to pause it right here. As you guys are really familiar with at this point by now, when we do these types of videos, we do in order to adhere to YouTube policies, we try to have a little commentary in between. So for those of you guys who are like, don't let it play all the way through, this is how I got to manage it over here. Okay. So with that being said, though, I do have several questions in my head if I were to interview Peter, and I'm sure he would not. Listen, I'm sure that's the furthest thing that he would ever even deign to do. I mean, who am I? But my biggest question is, where is your accountant? Where is your bookkeeper? Now, listen, I recently had a situation where I was working with somebody and come to find out they wasn't doing everything that I thought that they were going to be doing. Okay. And my new person is like, we got to fix all this, right? So is it a situation where maybe he was working with someone that he thought these things were being done? But in my mind, I'm like, no, like I know when we got these taxes due, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, for the most part, right? And the more money you make, the more tax burden you gonna have, right? So clearly, at some point, he was making some type of money. But when you're saying from struggling business to struggling business, then that leaves me with some other questions as well. And I go back to the things that were going on when he was on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and there were issues between him and Cynthia and these sort of business endeavors at that point. And even as of recently, when there was was it a $9 million judgment? I'm gonna put a link to all about the tea. It's a headline that Real Housewives of Atlanta alum Peter Thomas is slapped with a whopping $9 million judgment over restaurant drama. So you go back 2022, and there was another headline about a $450 something or $450,000 something or other that was going on as well. And I'm just like, where is the accounting? Where is the bookkeeping? Is it happening?
And it's something that I thought I could work out, catch up with, make hold. But the hole got deeper for me. So
Let me tell y'all something that I know from experience. Okay. It is expensive to be broke. Okay. It is expensive to be broke. I have talked to you guys about my struggles in the past many times. I've also talked to you about it on my personal channel as well. So if you ain't never seen those videos, go over there and look, right? You know, it is very expensive to be broke. Now, I ain't saying the man broke, but what the statement with that is basically that it's expensive when you are in the hole and you're trying to dig yourself out and out and out and out and out and out and out, and it just gets deeper. So I'm assuming that that's what he's talking about here.
I deeply regret, deeply, and I'm saying this with all sincerity, I deeply regret not to make the IRS withholding tax a priority in my life, with no excuses, because there is none. It's the law. I'm finding out a lot about that law lately. And what I need to say to all business owner out there, if you're starting out a business, make sure that you're funded enough to cover your payroll after you pay your rent and you pay your utilities and you pay your vendors. Make sure that you could cover those withholding taxes, and make sure on the 20th of every month you pay those revenue taxes, because when those things add up, Uncle Sam is your partner, and they're not getting their piece, and keep on adding it up, it's going to come and it's going to bite you like it's biting me now.
And then the problem with that becomes, and listen, I am not a financial expert. I'm not a financial counselor. I'm not giving financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. And actually, it's all alleged. Your entire life's alleged. But what I will say is that from experience, that, when you don't pay that tax, then that they add that interest onto it, and it is no joke. So what he is saying is actually sage advice right here.
Okay. So I deeply regret, not paying my withholding taxes in a timely manner, or in any manner that would put me in the place where I am now. And but I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to be responsible, and I'm going to pay my debt. Okay, because that's the agreement, and that's the way it is. Okay. Um, Thank you for the time. I'll be talking about this some more, probably. Okay, but I'm quite sure when it comes out, because y'all like to put me in the shade room and all those other places, I'm quite sure it's going to be all over the place, because I am Peter Anthony Thomas. Okay. Again, I apologize to the United States government who gave me such a wonderful opportunity to express myself and build these businesses. And I let them down, I let myself down, I let my family down, and I'm going to make amends. Okay? Thank you.
So I guess for me, my biggest question is, why this video, right? Was this some part of something that he had to do in reference to making amends with the IRS? Um, I'm curious about this because, in my opinion, right? Unless you're apologizing to, I don't know, people who have claimed, that they weren't being paid in the restaurants, and I don't know, but I'm just saying that these are things that have come out over the course of time. And I could reasonably assume that, everybody has a story about different types of jobs. Like, listen, there were jobs that I did when I was working in LA that I felt like there is a particular franchise of movie that I did that at least I wasn't paid for, and we were extras at that point, and we went overtime. Okay. And that production never paid us. Okay. I'm still mad at them to this day. I don't even know how much I was supposed to make no more. But anyway, back to what I was talking about with Peter. Like, why come to the gram and tell us this? Why post this on social media? Unless the goal is to turn this from lemons to lemonade, right? Like, okay, I am going my new business venture is XYZ, right? Helping businesses overcome their tax burden or their tax debt, right? Maybe he is trying to leverage this in some interesting way. I really don't know, because from my just vantage point as an adult, for me, I'm kind of like, well, just get on a payment plan and pay these people back. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and I know that there are varying amounts of tax debt and whatnot, especially if this is ranging back from 10 years, as he says, over a decade ago. Can you imagine what the interest on that would be? Okay. Um, and then my question also then becomes, is he doing this to get ahead of a story that is about to break? That is what I think is occurring. But listen, here's the thing. I don't know specifically um the reason for this statement, except that maybe he wanted to write his own narrative before it popped off anyplace else. Because I don't really at this moment, I don't see it anyplace else. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist anyplace else, right? I'm sure somebody else has seen this video, and I'm sure somebody else have probably already looked up the court documents, right? I'm just here to give you the tea on what he said, and we'll see what pops off later. Because right now it's 10:32 p.m. at night, and my butt should be in bed. So, with that being said, I guess we will see how this story plays out, especially come tomorrow. All right. So make sure you guys listen. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Hit that notification bell button. Join the Skye Squad membership community by clicking the link in the description down below. And then, yeah, we're gonna send a prayer up for Peter Thomas and that he's able to get that tax debt paid down and, get on about his merry way. And we're just gonna leave it at that. All right. So with that being said, I will of course catch you all in the next video.